Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Story Time with Dianne Coke. Today's story is The Berenstain Bears, Blessed Are the Peacemakers. The Bear Country School was mostly a peaceful sort of place. Most of the cubs got along with each other most of the time. True, there could be minor squabbles. Voices were sometimes raised. Angry words were sometimes spoken. But most of the time, most of the cubs were calm and peaceful, except for Too Tall Grizzly and his gang. Too Tall's gang had the most trouble with Ferdy Factual and his friends. Ferdy was one of the best students in the school. His friends were cubs like Cousin Fred and Trudy Brunowitz, who were good students just like him. Too Tall's gang and Ferdy's friends simply did not get along. Brother and Sister Bear did not belong to either group. They liked to get along with everyone, including Too Tall and Ferdy, and they did. But one thing that everyone at the school did agree on was the all-school play. It was the biggest event of the year. Anyone could try out for a part, and everyone helped with scenery, sets, and other jobs. All the students' families came to the performance as well as other folks from around Bear Country who just enjoyed a good show. This year's play was Romeo and Grizzlyette. Students crowded into the auditorium for tryouts. All the cubs tried out for parts one after the other. Finally, Teacher Jane announced the roles. Brother and sister had small parts. Even Too Tall had a role. But the main roles, Romeo and Grizzlyette, went to Ferdy Factual and Queenie McBear. Everyone was a little surprised. After all, Queenie was part of Too Tall's gang, and usually she and Ferdy did not get along. Things could get a little weird with them playing a boy and girl who were in love. After tryouts, Too Tall decided to make trouble with Ferdy. "Look out," said Too Tall, bumping into Ferdy on purpose. "Hey, watch where you're going," said Ferdy. "You want to make something of it?" asked Too Tall. Ferdy's friend, Trudy Brunowitz, came up. "Yes," she said, "we do." "You leave Too Tall alone," said Queenie, coming up to help Too Tall. Too Tall's gang and Ferdy's friends gathered around. Brother and sister saw what was happening and rushed over. They didn't want any of their friends to get hurt. Okay, break it up," said Brother, getting in between Too Tall and Ferdy. Sister got between Queenie and Trudy. "Let's remember what it says in the Bible," said Cousin Fred. "Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness." "What's that supposed to mean?" said Too Tall. "It means if you make peace," explained Ferdy, "you will get a rich reward." "Oh, cool," said Too Tall. "Well, you just stay away from Queenie, except in the school play, and not too close there either, pal." "Really, Too Tall?" said Queenie. "I can take care of myself." There were rehearsals for the school play every day. Romeo and Grizzlyette was quite an exciting story. It was about two families who did not get along at all. But when a boy and a girl from each family fell in love and wanted to get married, the two families became even angrier. A big fight broke out with sword fighting and everything. Soon, the night of the play arrived. Families of all the cubs in school came, and lots of other folks from all around Bear Country, too. Mayor and Mrs. Honeypot were there, as well as Preacher Brown and his wife. Even Squire and Lady Grizzly decided to come. The play was going beautifully. In the middle, Romeo and Grizzlyette stood on a balcony to say how much they loved each other. It was very convincing. In fact, it was a little too convincing for Too Tall. "Hey, you little furball," he suddenly yelled. "You leave Queenie alone." Too Tall started to climb up onto the balcony to get at Ferdy. When Too Tall's gang and Ferdy's friends who were in the play saw what was happening, they got upset. They started to push and shove. They started to yell and shout. When the families in the audience saw their cubs fighting on stage, they got angry too. They started heading for the stage to help their cubs. Everybody was getting into the act. "Stop!" cried a very loud voice. It was Squire Grizzly. He was quickly up on stage with Mayor Honeypot and Preacher Brown. They stood in the middle of the crowd and held them apart. "Stop this disgraceful brawling at once," said Squire Grizzly. "You should all be ashamed of yourselves." "But," began Too Tall, "it all started with this little fuzz face." "I don't want to hear any name calling, and there'll be no excuses," interrupted the squire. "There's never an excuse for starting a fight." "That's right," said Preacher Brown. "Remember what the Bible says? Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it." Everyone felt ashamed and very foolish. Brother and sister, who had rushed forward to help with the peacekeeping on stage, now helped the audience back to their seats, and the play went on. It was a great success. At the end, the cast lined up on the stage. All the cubs, Too Tall's gang, and Ferdy's friends included, joined hands and bowed. The applause was loud and long. After the great Romeo and Grizzlyette fight, things were different between Too Tall's gang and Ferdy's friends. They never exactly became best buds, but now there was peace between them, and the peace-loving Peacemakers, Brother and Sister Bear, were good friends to them all as usual. The end.